It's a few days after Father's Day, so I've got a question for you fathers out there. How was your Father's Day? Did you yell at your kids leading up to it? Did you have a fight with your wife? I did one of those. I yelled at my youngest the day before Father's Day. My wife even asked me why I'm in a mood right before Father's Day. She could tell that something was brewing. I just wasn't the best father. Did your family celebrate you? Did you deserve it? Or were they celebrating you because it's Father's Day? And that's the thing to do. Before you flip off this video, I'm not going to sit here and bash you and say that you're a terrible person. The world does enough of that. I'm actually wanting to do the opposite, but I want us to have a real conversation. I want you to think about what I'm saying, and I want it to resonate in your heart, and I want it to sink in. I feel that this message is very special, and it's directed straight at fathers. Men as well, but fathers mainly. Why am I mainly talking to fathers? It's because we have the hardest jobs. A single guy, it's pretty easy. Nobody is really there waiting on him. As a father, as a husband, you've got people who wait on you, who need you. They need your guidance. They need your leadership. We have a hard job as fathers. We're supposed to be spiritual leaders of the house. How many of us really direct our family to a proper moral compass? Or are we just kind of floating in the breeze? We have to have a firm foundation if we're going to lead our family correctly. This world throws a bunch of crap at us, and we've got to know where our center is, where our focus is. We set the mood of the house. If you don't believe me, spend a day being happy and jolly and see how your family reacts. Then spend the next day mad, upset, irritated, short-tempered, and see how your family reacts to that. We set the mood. We are our family's protector, so our family is always looking at us for that protection, that guidance, that comfort. But if we're not doing the job correctly, who protects them from us? I'm not meaning by physical beating. I'm meaning by the verbal. I'm meaning like you've always got your thumb on somebody. You're always ready to jump on the very next thing that they screw up on. How many of us are there? Been there so many times. That's kind of my default. If I don't watch myself, then I get to where I'm super short-tempered, everything sets me off, and I'm just kind of in a mood, and then everybody just vanishes and kind of stays out of my way so that they don't feel my wrath. It's not that I'm necessarily mad at any one thing, it's just that things aren't going right. I'm sure several of you guys can relate to that. Dads, we're supposed to be role models for our kids. I have a theory that if we were better role models, the world wouldn't be so enamored by superheroes right now. The world fills any void with something else. So if we make a void and we're not that role model that we should be, we're not that super dad, we're not all that in a bag of chips, then our kids are going to go somewhere else when we continue letting them down. On top of everything else that we have on our plate as fathers, the world also seems bound and determined to just lay on us and tell us how inept we are, how overbearing we are, how over masculine, how whatever. No matter what we do, it's wrong. If we're manly men, then, oh, that's bad. If we're not man enough, well, then now the woman has to be the man. We're sort of screwed either way. That's the world's perspective of us. I don't care the world's perspective of us. I care God's perspective, my children's perspective, my wife's perspective. That's it. That's what I care about. And guys, if we don't have any real moral compass, how are we supposed to lead our families? You think of any navigator, and let's go back hundreds of years. Every single one of them had a map and had a compass, and they had something guiding them. They didn't just float around. They knew roughly where they were going, or they were in uncharted territory and they were exploring and documenting what was there for someone else. We have to have a moral compass as men and as fathers. We have to lead and guide our family in the proper way. The average man of this society has walked away from God, has walked away from all of that and said, oh, that's just child's play. There's nothing with that. I can do better myself. If we look at society, is society better now than it was in the 50s? No, it's not. You think about it, back in the 50s in schools, one of the biggest problems was chewing gum and like running in the hallways or something like that. It's way worse now. And it gets worse every year. Why? Because our children are not taught respect. They don't have proper leadership at home. They don't have proper discipline. I'm not talking beat your children, but I am talking set boundaries and stick to them. If you are one of those parents that lets your kids do whatever, and if they whine enough, then you just let them have it, you're doing your child no favors, because the laws of this world do not work that way. Our job as parents is to create adults. We're raising adults in our children. I'm not saying that our children shouldn't have a life. I'm saying that our job is not to raise a child, it's to raise an adult. It's to prepare them for the world that they're about to enter when they turn 18 and they become a legal adult. And if you've done them no favors and you've given them no boundaries, then when they walk out in the world, they are blindsided by boundaries. They're everywhere. We have to have boundaries, discipline. We have to lead and guide them in a good direction. If you've walked away from God, or if you've never known God, I'm going to highly suggest, I'm going to beg, I'm going to pray that you will turn to God, ask God for His help, for His favor. Ask God for His forgiveness and His salvation. It is a free gift that He sent His Son, His kingly Son, His Prince, to live on this earth for 33 years, be beaten, and die a horrible death for you. Free gift. He gave freely of His own Son, His own flesh and blood for you. And if you just call on God and you say, Dear Jesus, I am sorry, I am a sinner. Please forgive me. Please help me. Enter my life. Rid my life of the evil and show me your ways. Show me where I've been messing up and guide me in your direction. I guarantee you that things will start looking up for you. I will also guarantee you this. On the other side, there is the devil. I guarantee you, if you pray that prayer, the devil will come after you. Call it Murphy's Law, call it whatever you want. The devil is coming after you because we live in a world that is at war between heaven and hell. And if you choose the side of heaven, then you've now made an enemy of the devil, and he's coming after you with everything that he's got. And he will do his best to make your life a living hell here. However, that being said, we live a short life here. We may think it's long, but it's no more than 120 years. After that, your fate is eternity. Whatever you decide here, whatever faction you choose, whatever you want to call it, whatever side you pick here, that's where you are in eternity. So you're either on streets of gold or burning sulfur, lake of fire. That's your options. I choose streets of gold. After that choice is made, you still have a lot more choices. You've got to figure out how you can be the best father and husband for your family so that no matter what happens, your family feels safe with you. My oldest son recently started driving. We bought him a used Honda Civic. It's 2016. Figured it was a really good car. He seemed to be a really good driver. He had a hardship license, so he's been driving for a while now. I've had him driving my truck since he was 10. So him driving is not a new thing. He was really good at it. My wife called him so he would pick up our youngest because we were at church working and we were there working late. We get a phone call from him and he says, check your text. Yeah, it's one of those. We look at our text. There's his car, wrecked. It's in bad shape. Still kind of drivable, but one of the tires is cocked off because he messed up the suspension. He felt comfortable enough to call us, and he said, before you even say anything, it was my fault. I don't know what I was doing. You know, it's a hard 90-degree turn. 15, 20 miles an hour max speed limit. And he said, I don't know what I was thinking, taking it at 35 or 40. I saw his tracks today. He went way off. Thank God he wasn't hurt. But we have created an environment where he felt comfortable to call. He wasn't trying to hide it. He just owned up to his mistake, and I haven't even laid into him. I've kind of ribbed him a little bit because his father's, that's kind of what we do. I've kind of joked with him about it, kind of picked at him, but he's driving my Jeep. He's fine. Vehicle's in the shop. But that sort of environment is what we need to create. We need our children, when they screw up, to say, I'm going to go to mom and dad because it's okay. I know I made a mistake. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. Am I super happy he did it? No, not at all. He made a mistake, and that's fine. Same son. I told him to go weed eat, and it started raining. So I went out there with him and grabbed a hedge trimmer and just started running the hedge trimmer in the rain. I'm not bragging, but I'm just saying I didn't want him out there in an environment that I wasn't willing to subject myself to. How was your Father's Day? Do you want next year to be better? I'm sure most of us would say yes. And if our average is pretty good and then we have some mess ups, then we're doing good. But if for the most part, you're just a jerk, you need some serious help. You need to really look into your heart. I had to do the same thing. I'm not sitting here on my high horse and telling you how bad you are. I had to do the same thing. I had to realize that I was making my problem. I kept screwing up. I kept creating the very thing that I didn't want to create. So dads, I'm going to leave you with this one last thought. Every day, try to make today better than yesterday. It's what I've been doing for years, and it works pretty dang well. That way I don't fall into that trap of thinking about all the bad I've done. I just start every day fresh, and I go, okay, I messed up yesterday. Let me make sure I don't mess up today. Let me make today better. And it works pretty well. We can be great. I believe in you.